Alright everyone, it's your boy K Natsuki here back at it again. Please ignore the music or sounds if you hear any that are not my voice. My brother is playing Assassin's Creed and he has the volume at 20. Our TV works differently, and he's extremely close in proximity to the TV. It should only be at 15 to 18 when he's that close, but let's get into the video. So, y'all might be wondering, wait, what is this video? Well, this video is, what if Naruto, what if Deku was, what if Deku fused with a kwami? Or basically, what if he was half kwami? Now, for those who have not watched Miraculous Ladybug, A Day in Their Life, allow me to explain what a kwami is. A kwami is a very powerful divine being, or an animal spirit of sorts. They each have a aspect of power. However, two that stand above all the others are the kwami of destruction and the kwami of creation. Now, based on this ring, the Miraculous Ladybug fans, you will probably know exactly which kwami I'm talking about for this vid. The one, the only, the all-destructive, the living embodiment of destruction itself. The all-lazy, the all-cheese-loving, the all-small and adorable, but somehow terrifying Plague. As Plague is the kwami of destruction. And he loves nothing more than camembert cheese. Actually, he loves all types of cheeses. It's just that camembert, I think, is his favorite. But let's get into this what if. So, pretty much, Deku would be born a quirkless boy. Just, quirkless, and he would have quite the rough life. As in this, I'm making him be the first ever quirkless person. I'm one of the first 10 quirkless people to be born. Meaning he's basically the first quirkless person. As 100% of the planet is quirked. He is just the smallest of small margins out of 7 billion people that is quirkless. Or he's literally 1 in 7 billion. As he would have been called a mistake, a accident, a freak of nature, as he would have had a quirk, as everyone else would have quirks. The bullying would be so bad that, well, not even his mom would want him, as Deku would be alone in a forest, as Deku would be alone in the woods of Japan. As, well, y'all might be wondering, wait, how does he become half kwami then if it isn't a quirk? Well, I'm getting there. Let's do some backtracking, or a backstory, I should say. As we go to a battle. We go to a great battle. As pretty much Cat Noir, or Adrian Agreste, and Tom. I deleted the picture. No. Damn it. Curse you, Gord. Gah, hold on. Alright. Sorry about that, but, well, we start off at battle. A great one, to be exact. For this was the last battle of Cat Noir Ladybug versus is Gabriel Agrest, aka Hawkmoth. As Hawkmoth would have taken the Black Cat Miraculous from his son, and would be trying to take the Black Cat Miraculous from his son, as he would take it from his son, or, well, he'd take it from the guy he has no clue is his son, but then something unexpected would happen. As just as he took it, as just as he went to take it, he was attacked by, well, Ladybug, of course, who was trying to stop him from taking the miraculous. As eventually they defeated Hawk. However, they were very close to defeating Hawkmoth, and Hawkmoth was a bit lower on power at the time. However, Hawkmoth came to a sudden realization that if he could not have the miraculous, then nobody could. As he would raise his staff and slam the tip of it, the bottom of it, right, and he'd destroy, or he would crack the Black Cat Miraculous. As the miraculous would crack, basically, then the miraculous would begin to glow black and green, as Plague would know that it would be basically exploding or releasing a lot of energy, and a lot of destructive energy, as in order to save Adrian, Plague immediately latched off the miraculous from him, as then a ginormous explosion of black and green destructive energy would happen, as pretty much the rest is history. And the rest is history. What used to be Paris was destroyed, but eventually a forest regrew there. As for the Black Cat and as for the miraculouses of creation and destruction, the earrings were tucked away safely in a box, and then, to make sure no one could ever use their power again, and that box was put tightly inside several different vaults, as all the vaults were then, as in the giant vault which all the other vaults and the box was inside of, were dumped in the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean. As for the Black Cat Miraculous, it stood there. It was there, in the middle of the forest, still releasing destructive energy that would destroy anyone who had any sort of... that would destroy anyone, or any normal person who went to touch it. As pretty much Deku would be in this forest for most of his life, eventually adapting into it, as one day he would be 9 years old, as he would begin walking through the forest, as he would see, or at least sense, some sort of natural force, as he would look in them and see a giant oak tree. And in the middle of the tree, there was ash. Yes, everything there was ash. And that is, the tree was like a ginormous hollow oak tree. It was about the size of a house, as there was a small crack, like opening, where Adrian escaped. Aped. There was a small cracked opening where Adrian kicked through the wall and escaped. As inside this giant oak tree, allow me to explain how this oak tree came to be. You see, Tiki, knowing of Tiki, which is the name of the ladybug, Kwami, I'm the Kwami of creation, knowing of Plag's destructive power, would have pretty much created an indestructible cell to hold that power in. A spell that the power of destruction could not break, as it is leaking out via that small crack that Adrian made to escape. As Deku would be walking through this, and be walking in this ginormous tree, as he would see a what appeared to be black, rotting stump, and on it was a ring that was cracked at the top. As Deku would be curious and walk over to the ring, as somehow the destructive energy or the destructive aura, it would not affect him. Now, you all might be wondering, wait, how? Well, Deku is the descendant of, well, Adrian, as he's pretty much a descendant, like a great 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 great. Basically, he's a 13 times great grandson of him. Hold on. Well, that's a bit of a confusing question. I'm just gonna do the same thing I do to all my requests, and I'm a bit, I mean, well, that's quite simple. When the strength inhibitors targeted people, or basically, when the Ki Blaster key attacks, hits someone with chakra, it basically will sort of do a clash with their chakra. And the key will sort of do a clash with their chakra, thus putting them in a near-death state. Kind of like their completely exhaustive chakra, but there is a 50-50. There's a 25-75% chance they will die. 25% chance they'll die, 75% chance they'll live, but will probably die within the next 10 months, and with the next 2 to 5 years. But back to the what if. As now, of course, Deku would be related to Adrian, as the kwami would be inside of this ring, would have sensed Adrian's bloodline, or his presence, if you will. And it would be holding back as much of its power as it could. Or no, the power itself would have attached to Deku, as it would Deku would basically, in his mind, hear a voice that had no body. It was not even. It was the power of destruction itself. It wasn't even Plag's voice. It was just destruction itself, as it said, "Put on the ring, the ring, the ring, the ring," and thousands upon thousands of different voices, all at different tones. He would hear, "Put on the ring, get it, take it, put it on." As Deku would eventually, and would be in pain hearing all these voices, but would eventually obey and put on the ring. As when Deku put on the ring, something unnatural would happen. As we go to Plag's perspective, as Plag is inside of the ring, as he senses this power, this familiar sense, as he basically, he looks through the ring, as imagine where the cat paw is, it turns off and turns into a green and black cat eye, just looking at Deku. As the ring, and as he knows that this is not Adrian, but it feels so familiar. It feels like it is him, or related. Maybe he's a descendant. As Plag is basically thinking, and thinking, and thinking, and thinking. Hold on. As then, and then Plag would think, maybe I should talk to the kid. After all, I've been sensing his presence in this place for, I don't know, about 5 years now? Yeah. His parents someone must have taken him and abandoned him here. Ugh. Well, seeing how I've been here for quite a couple of generations, maybe even 13 or 12, I can't really remember, and I'm starving, he might be the best shot at company I have, other than destruction and loneliness. As Plag would basically, now Deku would look down at the ring and see the eye, as it would be moving, as then the eye would close and turn back into this ring, as Deku would form. And now, Plag would basically come out of the ring, as he would say, you have it. So you are, well, what's your name, kid? As Deku would scream, as he'd say, where are you? As then Plag would say, jeez. Is this really what it's like? As then Plag would say, geez, kid, you look like you've never seen a kwami before. As then Deku would say, kwami? As Plag would then say, allow me to explain. A kwami is a being that is not human. More such a spirit. or an embodiment. I, as basically we each hold a shape of reality. There's one for time, one for creation, one for illusions. Uh, oh, jeez. There's a turtle. There's a turtle, a monkey, and there's a turtle, a monkey. I mean, seriously, there is so many of us. As Deku would say, what are you then? As then Plag would say, oh, I am Plag, the Kwami of. I'm the black cat Kwami of destruction. As Deku would say, destruction? As Plag would then say, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, sure, it's a bit unorthodox. When, of course, it's a bit unnerving when you hear it a bit, and when you hear the name at first. But trust me, it is not that bad. At least, and at least you don't really have to worry about. At least you don't have to worry about cleaning up, because you can just destroy any trash. He would say with a lazy laugh, and with a sort of lazy laugh, as Deku would say, so, what exactly are you doing out here? As then he would explain how everything went. And Deku would say, wow, so what exactly is this place called? As he'd say, well, I can tell you it was once a place called Paris. And here is where we had our final battle with a supervillain. However, you probably think supervillains are myths. As then he'd say, villains and, as then Deku would say something that surprised Plag, as he'd say, villains and heroes both exist, sir. Exist, Plag. As Plag would then be intrigued and say, what do you mean they both exist? As Plag would then, and as Deku would then say, hey, all about quirks, how 80% and how 100% of the population except for him has them, and Plag would just feel awful for the kid, because he knows that he's like the last that he might be, and he knows for sure he's a descendant of Adrian, because he's basically scanning his bloodline right now. And he feels sad for the kid, as he then says, well, allow me to explain. Allow me to tell you that your ancestor, or I guess 13, maybe even 12 times great-grandfather, had no quirk. All he had was little old me. And then Deku would say, wait, how would you even know who my 13 times great-grandfather is? Or my ancestor is? As he would then say, because I'm scanning your bloodline right now. Anyways, listen, kid, I feel bad for you, so I'll tell you what. Depending on if it still works or not, I don't exactly know. Just say the name just a tiny bit. Just say these words, as he'd say, hey, say Plag claws out. As Deku would say, hey, why? As Plag would then say, it usually, if it's not broken, if it's not permanently broken, will give you powers of your wildest dreams. Deku would then say, okay, um, Plag, claws out. As then the ring would begin to shake, as then a green and black aura would come from it. As something unexpected would happen, the ring would the ring would turn off and the eye would appear, as it would basically feel like the ring had claws that were just digging into Deku. As then a sort of black substance or a black aura would begin surrounding Deku's entire finger and then his hand and slowly going up his arm, as he'd say, "Ah, what's going on?" As Plag would say, "Oh geez, I actually have no clue, kid. Um, I'll just tell you the truth. This has never happened before. Probably because the ring's cracked." As Deku would be trying to pull off the ring, in panic, however, it would not work. As then Plag would say, okay, try saying Plag claws in. As Deku would say, Plag claws in, Plag claws in, Plag claws in. But nothing would happen. As the ring would be glow, I mean, as the ring would, and the black substance from the ring would be over Deku's entire arm, and down one of his legs and halfway down the other leg, as it would be all the way over his chest and slowly going his other arm, as it was slowly going up his neck, as he'd say, "Ah! I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die." As, well, as then, and Plag would say, "You're not gonna die, kid." At least I don't think so. As Plag would be trying to pull the ring off, but nothing would work. As basically the ring would basically be turned into a tornado, as it would be sucking. The tip of the ring, where the cat's eye usually is, would open and turn into a tornado, as it would be sucking Plag right in, as Plag would be trying to swim out, as he'd be like, "Ah!" As the as eventually the ring would capture Plag inside of it, as Plag could not get out of the ring, as he'd say, "Ah, let me out, let me out, let me out!" As then the black aura was all over Deku's entire body, as it would be going up his neck, up his mouth and face, and eventually it would cover him completely. As then a green sort of light would begin sparkling all over, and we began covering over some of the black, like just a green line. Iron or green like cracks would be going all over the blackness. As then the ring itself, which is still on Deku's finger, would sink into him. As then, and the green palm mark would appear on Deku's back, and on his upper back. As then, the black aura would disappear, and would begin to disappear, as it would be going down his fingers, and, well, hold on, one of my brother's punk friends is here probably. Oh god, sorry, my brother's punk friends just came in the house without our parents here, so you had to push them out. Now, as the black aura would be going down his hand, down his arm, up his arm, and basically doing the exact opposite of everything it did. As this time, Deku's nails would be longer, sharper like cat claws. When it came down his toes, he would have he would have claws for toes. As when it came, as then he would have a tail, an actually moving tail. Tail and cat ears and sharp teeth and cat eyes. As Deku would basically, and when the whole thing was done, Deku would be looking for the ring as he'd say, "Plague, where are you?" As he would then hear a voice inside of his head saying, I'm right here. Or actually, I don't know where I am. It's just dark. And it's like a sewer in here. Ew. Except there's no walls and no top to the sewer. It's just water. Weird, smelly water. As he would then say, oh wait, I think I can do this. As Plague would basically pull old Deku into his mind. As Plague would then say, I see where I am, I'm in your mind. As Plague would look at Deku and say, whoa, what happened to you? As Deku would be his same height and size, but he would kind of be hovering, as he'd say, I don't know. I have no clue. I was just covered in some sort of black, dark aura for a second, and now I look like a cat. As then, and Plague would have said, oh, I think I understand what happened. It appears that my destructive aura has as well sensed your bloodline, and that's how you were able to come in here without turning into ash. Ash or dying. As Deku would say, wait, anyone who comes in here turns to ash or dies? As he'd say, duh, the ring is cracked, destructive powers literally leaking out. It destroys anyone who enters. And it appears that the ring has chosen you to, I guess, be demi-kwami or half-kwami? I don't exactly know what to call you. Kwami human hybrid? A kwami human? I don't know. As Deku would then say, is there some way to turn it off? As he'd say, go back into the real world and try saying Plague Claws in again. As Deku would go back out to the real world, as he'd say, Plague Claws in, but nothing would happen. As Plague would say, it seems like this is permanent. As then he'd say, wait, where's the ring? As Plague would say, the ring, it appears to be a symbol on your back. As Deku would then say, am I stuck like this? As, hold on, let me show you what Deku pretty much looks like. As he looks like this. Right now. As he would then say, yeah, I think so. It's, very unexpected. As then Plag would, as then Plag would say, "Oh well, guess you're now a demi-kwami, I guess. Let me check your bloodline. Let me check your bloodline to see if you're still part human, and to see if you're still part Adrian." As he would check Deku's bloodline and see that only Adrian's blood, or his human blood, all of Deku's human blood was Adrian. However, Deku's other side of the blood that he would get from his mom is gone. And all of his blood that he got from his father would be replaced with Adrian blood, as all of Deku's blood, which he got from his mom, would be replaced with destructive energy, or basically kwami, wami essence, as Deku would be half kwami, half human. As he'd say, "So, let me get this straight. I'm now a spirit or something? As in, I'm now like a spirit thing? I'm now like a spirit demon thing?" As then Plag would say, "I guess. But, well, apparently you're half me, so you will be lazy, so you will get very lazy, and you will hunger for only one thing." As then he would say, and that, as then Deku would say, "And that is?" As Plag would then say, "Cheese." Ease, of course. As Deku would just go into the mindscape and look at Plag like, "You're a cat and you like cheese?" As Plag would then say, "Of course, I love all types of cheeses. Gouda, Camembert, Swiss. They're all delicious, but Camembert's one of my favorites." As then Deku would say, "Okay, so how far is the nearest piece of cheese?" As he would say, "Wait, hold on, before we think of eating cheese or anything, let's get you used to your new abilities," said Plag. As Deku would then say, "What do you mean, new abilities?" As Plag would then say, "You're half Kwami, so you should have some Kwami-like properties. For instance, the hovering. Try to fly." As Deku would begin fly, and would basically be trying to fly, and over a time span of a couple of weeks, he'd begin to fly. And he would actually be able to fly. And then he'd say, "Perfect. Now try saying cataclysm. Now try summoning a staff." As he'd say, "Why a staff?" And as Deku would then say, "Why a staff?" As Plag would then say, "Just 'cause it was your ancestor's weapon, and it was all the other users before it. Basically, it's my weapon. So summon a staff." As Deku would try as he would basically summon a green and black staff. As then he'd say, "Perfect. Now say cataclysm." As Deku would say, "Why?" As he'd say, and as Plag would then say, basically, it normally allows the user to use, it allows the holder of the ring to use one, and to basically destroy one item. However, since you're a half Kwami, I think you'll be able to use it more than just once. Also, you should have enhanced strength, enhanced speed, and and you should be able to teleport. As Deku would begin to get used to his newfound abilities, and then one day Deku would turn into a cat. As Black would say, okay, this was unexpected, but cool. You're now a cat, and you now can turn into a cat. As Deku can turn into a cat form that surges with a red and with a green lightning, and also in his normal form he surges with a green lightning, into where he can go in the Godspeed mode, which we all saw of when he was fighting. I believe the villain's name is Warfram, or the final boss. Pretty much the dude was controlling some sort of metal or electronic onyx, and then his skin, for some reason, turned into a bright-ass pink. And had destroyed all of his clothes. So yeah. As Deku would then say, okay, uh, so, oh, you want, so, what should we do today? As he would ask Plag, as Plag would be basically in Deku's mindscape, and he'd say, now we look for cheese. As Deku would basically, in the blink of an eye, teleport to Japan. Or, he would, in the blink of an eye, teleport to Japan. As his parents would literally have driven him to the ruins of Paris, because they wanted to get him as far away as possible as they could, and Paris and back was as far as they could go. As they hoped he would die and the world would never have another quirkless person again. As Deku would be in Japan, just walking around, as he would see a shop filled with all sorts of cheeses. As then Plag would say, there, as he would say, ooh, there's all sorts of cheeses. Go there, now. As pretty much Deku would begin and would say, alright, as he would walk over to the shop. As in this shop, there would be an old man. An old man who was cursed. As in terms, he was, but sort of not quirkless. As this old man would be a wielder of the turtle miraculous. Or the, I can't remember his name. Is it Leo? Pretty much he's the one that dates, and that's with Alia, or there's a lot of Alia x him ships. I cannot remember his name. Please tell me the name. I cannot remember at this certain time. But he has glasses and a cap. And he also is the Turtle Miraculous wielder. As he would have been cursed with immortality by one of the first quirk users, a person who could create random curses, and they were not able to be taken off. I know it's pretty much a wild card quirk, as the person would literally become a sidekick named Wildcard, as he would be immortal. As Deku, sorry, as the dude would be immortal, and, you know, cheese is cheese, and cheese is cheese, and there isn't a lot of cheese shops around in Japan, so why not? So why not? As the dude just opened a cheese shop, and on a side business, he still worked as the Turtle Miraculous wielder with ways. As we go to inside of the, I believe it's a, darn, I cannot remember what ways his miraculous is. Hold on, I think I have a picture of all the miraculous. Ah, yes, okay. Now that's gone, hold on. As weighs the kwami of protection, and would be inside of the turtle bracelet, as he would then say, as he would basically be in, he basically would be inside of the bracelet, but be able to whisper to, I cannot remember his name, the dude. As anyways, Waze would then say, hey, psst, I sense, do you sense it? And do you sense it, master? As he would then say, what do you mean, sense it? I sense, and not, as then he, and the dude would then say, on second thought, you're right, I do sense it. I sense power of a kwami. As he would then see Deku walk in, as he'd say, that's a person with some sort of cat quirk. As then Deku would say, excuse me, where's your best type? Where is the camembert cheese? As he'd then say, oh, third shelf, third shelf, fourth aisle. As Deku would say, thank you, as he'd walk over to the aisle, and Waze would just say, that is quite the coincidence. A person with a cat, with some sort of cat type quirk, over here, you're looking for camembert cheese. That's actually, if you didn't know that's actually was, Plag's favorite type of cheese. As the man would then say, what a coincidence indeed. As then there would be a villain with a gun type quirk, and with a morphing type quirk, as he could morph his hands into any weapon. Even if he morphed his hands into guns, he would have infinite ammo. As he would morph his hand into a pistol, and would walk over to the guy and would say, hey, give me all the money you got. As the gun would be right in front of him, and the dude was thinking of, and was just about to say, ways shall on. However, as he then said, way, so he would then see he basically would see Deku run over to the guy and summon a staff. As he would then pretty much kick the guy in the face and use the staff to knock him into a wall. As the dude and the villain Deku would begin fighting, as the villain would then morph his hand into a sort of scissor trying to cut, and into a sort of claw or scythe trying to cut Deku, as he would slice Deku's back just a bit to, as he'd slice off the back of Deku's shirt, where there would be a symbol of a green cat paw, as Deku would be fighting the villain, and he'd then would say, "So, your hands are the source of your quirk, huh? Huh?" As Deku would then open his claw like this, as in black destructive energy would surround his hand and would be in his palm like this, as he would then say, "Cataclysm!" And he'd say, "Cataclysm!" And he would close his hand, as unlike regular Cataclysm, a giant shadowy sort of, you know how how lanterns can create constructs of something? Basically imagine like a black shadowy construct of a cat arm, of a giant cat claw, all connected to a cat arm surrounding Deku's entire arm. As he would basically charge at the villain and was about to swipe at his hands. As then the dude would, hold on, I cannot remember his name, so I'm gonna look it up. I just freaking remembered the dude's name. It's Nino. As Nino would say, "Waze, shell on!" And just before the attack could hit the villain's hand, Neo would use his shield to knock out the villain, and would use his shelter ability to block, to basically create a giant shield around the villain and himself. As Deku's hand would touch and as Deku's attack would touch the shield, and the shield would dissipate, and would basically dissipate and be destroyed. As then Nino would say, "Who are you, dude? And how do you have that miraculous? And how do you even have that power?" As Deku would say, "My name is Izuku Midoriya." And that was not a quirk. As then Nino would say, "Yeah, no duh. That's called a miraculous. And you have the powers of the black cat miraculous, and you even have that symbol on your back." As then Deku would say, "Huh? Oh, mine. Oh, apparently, due to who my ancestor was, I got a sort of ability to, basically, I found this old ring. It was cracked, put it on. Next thing you know, I fused with it, and my ancestor was its last user." As then Nino would say, "Wait a minute, you're Adrian's descendant?" As then Plag would say, and would basically say in Deku's mind, "I think that's Carapace. And I think this dude's Carapace." And Deku would say, "Who the hell is Carapace?" As then Plag would say, "Oh, throughout the ages, we have had the wielders have had names. Basically superhero or supervillain names. You see, your ancestor's hero name was Cat Noir. Carapace is the wielder of the Turtle Miraculous, or the Kwami of Protection Ways, as then Ways would pop out of the bracelet and say, this kid seems like he's human, but also feels like he's half Kwami. As then Deku's eyes would become thinner, like cat eyes, as then Plague would basically be taking control. As he would then say, alright. Right, so what is your name? Holder of Ways, as he'd then say, Nino. As then pretty much, Plague would say, that's impossible, Nino is dead. Or at least he should be, as Nino would then explain how one of the first quirk users cursed him with immortality. As he'd then say, so you're an immortal who has the power of protection, As he'd then say, yeah. And what happened to you? As then Plague would say, oh, Adrian's descendant basically found the cracked ring, and when he put it on and said, Plague claws out, it turned him into this. Into a half Kwami, half human. Now the ring is a symbol on his back, and he can't undo it. Basically, what I'm saying is he's now a half immortal spirit with almighty powers. For instance, he can actually use different types of destructive attacks. As you saw the one where one of his arms basically became like a black, destructive, shadowy construct, he can also do something called Eradicate, where he can basically hold both of his hands out at any direction, and anything within 10 feet of that will be eradicated from existence. Destructive Beam, which basically shoots a hole and which basically shoots and destroys anything it touches. It has about a 30-foot, and it has at least a 20-foot limit. And yeah, pretty destructive if you tell me. I'm pretty destructive if you ask me, and that isn't even everything. He has enhanced speed, enhanced strength, and, well, of course he has the summoning of the staff, which you saw. He can float, hover, fly, teleport, and need I go on? As Nino would then say, no. As Waze would then say, remarkable. This is absolutely remarkable. By having your miraculous broken, and the descendant of your wielder, and of the last wielder of it, using it, it appears that your destructive energy has sensed the bloodline, and turned the kid into a half Kwami with near unlimited power. I must say, bravo. That is actually quite remarkable. As he would then say, anyways, me and the kid are here for camembert cheese. Got any? As he would then say, oh yes, back, as I said, third shelf, fourth aisle. As Plague would say thank you, as he'd walk over to the shelf and he'd get the cheese, walk over to the cash register, and he'd say, "See you later, Nino." And that's where I'm ending this part off. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please tell me if you want more of this wave. And yeah, bye.